I'm Shannon,
And I'm Holly.
and this is a Girls Gone Curious podcast, where we talk about things that make us curious. So grab your favorite drink, sit back and relax, because your show is loading.
With Halloween right around the corner, we both decided to do a two-part special. This week, we'll have 2 episodes that are somehow related to Halloween. This is part 1 of our Halloween special. Today, we will be diving into the Salem Witch Trials. This is a reminder that this episode does include strong language and murder. Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
This podcast is not suitable for children. Please listen with care. We do apologize if we say any of the names or places wrong in today's episode. And there is going to be a lot of names. As a kid and now, as an adult, we both have dressed up countless times as a witch for Halloween. And it's crazy to us that if we were to do it back in 1692 in Massachusetts, we would have been killed because of it. It's so strange to me because it's seen as a normal.
Yeah.
I mean, even not dressing up as a witch, we probably would have been killed for it.
Yeah.
Or at least tried.
Mm-hmm.
The Salem Witch Trials are well known, and they began in June of 1692 and completed in May of 1693. Did you know that there have been witch hunts all over the world? And some of those witch hunts go back further than 1693. Some of the hunts are listed at beginning in the 1300s in Europe and continuing into the 1690s. The last known execution occurred in 1782 in Switzerland. The Salem Witch Trials were a series of hearings and prosecuted people who were thought to be witches and were executed. The trials took place in the village and town of Salem, Massachusetts. To understand how or why these trials began, we have to know a little about the start of Salem and the type of people that were residing there. As early as the 14th century Europe, it was common to have believed in the devil, possession, worshipment of the devil, and the belief of exchange of power in return for loyalty to the devil. People in England were looking for religious asylum away from the Catholic rule of King James II. Some would flee to the Netherlands while others fled to New England, the American colonies, in the early 1600s. These people sought to purify or reform the Church of England of what they considered Roman Catholic practices. Side note number 1 of countless. Religious asylum. It grants people to seek refuge to practice their own religion without the fear of persecution or those who have been persecuted in their home country. Most of the settlers that formed Salem, Massachusetts, were mainly Puritan communities. Puritans established a more strict moral code. The Bible was their sole authority, only following the words from God himself, one of the beliefs being to live, total depravity, unconditional election, limited atonement, irresistible grace, and the perseverance of the saints. The community in Salem was a Congregationalist community. The people believed that the congregation should be able to choose how the church should be shaped. They also had the power to elect anyone new at any time as minister to lead. During the time of the witch trials, settlers not only had to worry about threats of the Native Americans, but they were also still having after effects from the French and British War in 1689, along with starvation and diseases like smallpox epidemic. This was a perfect place for the witch trials. They were fueled by the residents living there and their resentment and suspiciousness of neighbors and outsiders. Basically a perfect place for people to turn on other people.
Yep, exactly.
Girls around town and in nearby towns began experimenting or practicing witchcraft. They would take a jar or glass full of water and drip egg whites into it to see the type of pattern it would create.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They were just being kids.
Yeah.
Messing with shit. They would then ask God for insight and what to expect in the future. One claims to have seen a coffin shape, making others worrisome about what it could possibly mean. January 9th, 1692, two girls would begin having fits. Their bodies would spasm and contort. Uncontrollable screams and yells would come out. This was Betty Paris, who was 9 years old, and Abigail Williams, who was 11 years old, the daughter and niece of Samuel Paris. William Griggs, a local doctor, would diagnose them with bewitchment, saying that he can't cure them, so there's no other answer other than being because of the paranormal. That makes total fucking sense. You know what? It's not of this world. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Samuel Paris arrived in Salem in 1689 with his family from Barbados. He worked as a previous merchant and came to Salem to start anew. Apparently, he wasn't a very good merchant, explaining why he wanted to start anew. While there, he convinced pretty much anyone religious to join his cult. I'm just calling it a cult because
it's what it seems to be.
Yeah. He was elected as one of the ministers and stayed minister until the end of the witch trials. Shortly after, many other young girls would begin to show the same symptoms and signs. These included Anne Putnam, Jr., Mercy Lewis, Elizabeth Hubbard, Mary Walcott, and Mary Warren. This is side note number 2. In 1976, a study was done by a couple of toxicologists showing the possible reason behind these fits. Fungus ergot was found in rye, wheat, and other grains, which was a common diet of the residents back then. The symptoms of it included muscle spasms, vomiting, and delirium.
Interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's not actual witches?
Yeah, bummer, actually.
So you mean those people died for nothing?
Yeah, interesting.
Late February 1692, 3 arrest warrants were issued. The 3 individuals being Paris's slave, Tituba, a homeless beggar, Sarah Good, and an elderly poor woman, Sarah Osborne. These 3 women were believed to be behind the bewitchment of the 2 younger girls and others. They were all questioned and brought before the magistrates, Jonathan Corwin and John Harthrone. Tituba was from a South American mainland group. It is said that she was bullied and picked on by the Paris family, mainly because of her color and ethnicity. When the girls were asked who was doing it to them, they would both point fingers at Tituba. The next family to be affected would be the Putnam family, who was very close to the Paris family. They would also blame the same people that others were blaming. At the time, there was a division between two main families, Putnams and the Porters. Most of the Putnams were the accusers and the afflicted. The Porters were mainly the accused. They also were politically linked to Salem, while the Putnams were linked by the Paris family and religion. In March of 1692, both Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne denied having anything to do with the bewitchment. At first, Tituba denied everything, but with the constant questioning and threatening, she confessed and admitted to doing it, basically threatening her into confession. Thinking that she would be able to save herself from conviction if she offered up more names of people who were involved. This caused hysteria to spread. Some of the names Tituba gave out included Martha Corey and Rebecca Nurse, which were two very upstanding women in the community and church. The other person she claimed was a part of it was Sarah Good's 4-year-old daughter, Dorothy. All of the accused would be brought to a dungeon and put in jail to await the trials. There were so many people arrested for witchcraft that they would have to be housed in jails in Salem, Boston, and Ipswich. The accused were believed to be more dangerous than other prisoners that were in prison for murder, theft, etc. The other prisoners were housed on top of the dungeon where the accused witches were kept. While in jail, the accused would be subjected to physical exams daily. The suspected witches would have to go in front of a panel of people and strip naked. The group of people would then inspect each person from head to toe. They were looking for suspicious marks or moles, or what was considered marks of the devil. The marks and moles would then get stabbed with needles. Females would be examined also, but their breasts would also be groped many times throughout the day. This was done to check for signs of lactating or breastfeeding. Basically fucking pervs that wanted to feel up a bunch of women.
Yep.
Others who were accused would soon begin to do the same as Tituba. They would confess other names of people involved in witchcraft. Most of the accused were morally weak and socially estranged, which made it easier to condemn them. They were single or outspoken, poor, homeless, and anyone who didn't fit into the social norms for that time. Someone who had a different opinion on their religion or just wanted to do something that wasn't agreed upon with the community. Most of them being women, easier to control. About 70% were females. At first, it was people who weren't well known in the community, mostly outsiders, until others accused became more predominant people. People who were well known in the community, who went to church and were seen as good people. Trials wouldn't take place for many months. While Samuel was a minister, he wasn't able to run a trial legally. With the wait between January to June, the amount of people accused and put in jail kept increasing. They had to wait for a governor from England to come over with a new charter. This would introduce William Phillips. He would establish the court of oyer to hear and terminer to decide, to help in all the cases of witchcraft. The judge chosen to help were Hathorne, William Stoughton, and Samuel Sewall. Phillips wouldn't take place in the actual judgment, but more of push the other judge and ministers towards the direction he wanted them to go. From January to May, 81 people were accused of being a witch, and 49 were jailed. Trials would be held in a meeting place, which was pretty much a church. The first conviction would be against Bridget Bishop. She was declared a witch on June 2nd, and 8 days later she was hung on June 10th on Gallows Hill in Salem, Massachusetts. 5 more were hanged in July, 5 more in August, 8 in September, and Giles Corley died from being pressed by a stone when he refused to confess. 7 more that were accused died in jail while awaiting trial. When the accused were brought in front of magistrates, the afflicted, like Betty and Abigail, were also brought in while the questioning was happening, and they would begin having fits, making new accusations like, "She's hitting me," and "She's attacking me." If the accused raised a hand or arm, they would act out, making it look like they were doing something to them. Many of the accused believed that if they just confessed and gave names of other witches, they would survive. If they didn't, they would be killed. So many more people would be accused. Even if their reputation was gone and the neighbors judged them, at least they would still be alive.
I was just going to say, I actually don't blame them for, I mean, it sucks, but at that time when they were...
It's literally confess or die.
Yeah. And give us names of people, even if they, clearly haven't done anything that we would consider witchcraft.
Yeah, probably just name the person you don't like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When Tituba's trials came around, she confessed. Whether she was a witch or not, she confessed to it. She would mention the idea of this being a network of people working together, not just individuals. Tituba was not executed, but sent back to prison, jail, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. While trials were happening, a new type of evidence would come out. Spectral evidence, which is complete bullshit. Which were visions from the accusers. The devil would cause these people to have hallucinations of spirits who admitted to the crime, or spirits who accused a certain person of the crime. Many people had their doubts about this evidence. It wasn't physical evidence. It couldn't be proven true or not true. Phillips would seek advice from professors in this field, and they would say that there are always doubts, but basically keep doing what you're doing. And so they did. Other people and loved ones of the accused couldn't protect them. While some did speak out, it mostly backfired, causing them to be accused as well.
But none of the evidence was physical, right? Except for when, if they raised their hand, the girls would start acting out. So basically none of it was physical evidence.
Nothing was physical evidence, especially the spectral fucking bullshit.
So spectral evidence was the visions that the accuser saw from the devil talking to them. Why weren't they accused of witchcraft?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how about the people who were studying in that field?
Mm-hmm. Why weren't they considered witches?
Yeah. They're literally studying it.
Yeah. Because they had an education on it?
They had a college degree. Mm-hmm. If there was college. I'm assuming there was some sort of education.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we're going to talk about is naming all the people who were charged and arrested for witchcraft.
Yes. Which, because everybody deserves to have their name heard.
Yes. Arthur Abbott, Nehemiah Abbott Jr., John Aldine Jr., Abigail Barker, Mary Barker, William Barker, Sr., William Barker Jr., Sarah Baskett, Sarah Bibber, Bridget Bishop, Sarah Bishop, Mary Black, Mary Bradbury, Mary Bridges, Sr., Mary Bridges Jr., Sarah Bridges, Hannah Bromash, Sarah Buckley, George Burroughs, Candy, with an unknown last name, Martha Carrier, Richard Carrier, Sarah Carrier, Thomas Carrier Jr., Bithia Carter, Sr., Elizabeth Carey, Sarah Churchill, Mary Clark, Rachel Clinton, Sarah Cloyce, Sarah Cole of Lynn, Sarah Cole of Salem, Elizabeth Colson, Giles Corey, Martha Corey, Deliverance Dane, Mary Day Rich, Elizabeth Dicer.
What a name, Deliverance.
Yeah. And I'm switching it over to my friend.
Anne Dolliver, Lydia Dustin, Sarah Dustin, Daniel Eames, Rebecca Eames, Mary Easty, Esther Elwell, Martha Emerson, Joseph Emmons, Philip English, Thomas Farrer, Edward Farrington, Abigail Faulkner Sr., Dorothy Faulkner, Elizabeth Fosdick, Anne Foster, Nicholas Frost, Eunice Fry, Dorcas Good, Sarah Good, Mary Green, Elizabeth Hart, Margaret Hawks, Sarah Hawks, Dorcas Hoare, Abigail Hobbs, Deliverance Hobbs, William Hobbs, Elizabeth Howe, Elizabeth Hubbard, Frances Hutchins, Mary Ireson, John Jackson Sr., John Jackson Jr., George Jacobs Sr., George Jacobs Jr., Margaret Jacobs, Rebecca Jacobs, Elizabeth Johnson Sr., Elizabeth Johnson Jr., Rebecca Johnson, Stephen Johnson, Mary Lacey Sr., Mary Lacey Jr., John Lee, Mercy Lewis, Jane Lilly, Mary Marston, Susanna Martin, Sarah Morey, Rebecca Nurse, Sarah Osborne, Mary Osgood, Alice Parker, Mary Parker, Sarah Pease, Joan Penny, Hannah Post, Mary Post, Susanna Post, Margaret Prince, Benjamin Proctor, Elizabeth Proctor, John Proctor, Sarah Proctor, William Proctor, Ann Pudeator, Wilmot Reed, Sarah Rice, Susanna Roots, Henry Salter, John Soddy, Margaret Scott, Ann Sears, Susanna Sheldon, Abigail Somas, Martha Sparks, Mary Taylor, Tituba, Job Tukey, Mary Toothaker, Roger Toothaker, Johanna Tyler, Martha Tyler, Mercy Wardwell, Samuel Wardwell, Sarah Wardwell, Mary Warren, Sarah Wilds, John Willard, Sarah Wilson Sr., Mary Withridge. And again, all those names were mentioned because they all deserve to be mentioned. They were all
wrongfully accused.
Yes. 20 people were found guilty, 19 were executed, and one
was tortured to death.
One was tortured, yeah. So Bridget Bishop was in her 50s. She was a widow who lived in Salem. She had developed a reputation around town because she had been accused of witchcraft for years and had several meetings with the law. Now, Bridget wasn't the first person accused during the trials, but she was the first person tried because her case would be an easy one to win. Bridget's trial was on June 2nd. She was found guilty and was the first person to be executed during the witch trials. She was brought to trial on June 2nd, found guilty, and became the first person to be executed for witchcraft on June 10th, 1692. Sarah Good was 39. She lived in the village of Salem and was married to William Good. At the time of the trials, Sarah was pregnant and the family was poor. Sarah would go into labor in jail, but the baby unfortunately did not survive due to the conditions in jail. It was mentioned that Sarah would go door to door through the village asking for anything to help her family. William was working as a day laborer. This could be a farmer, tradesman, etc. Sarah was accused of witchcraft by the afflicted girls who claimed Sarah was trying to bewitch them. Sarah's trial began on June 29th. She was found guilty and executed on July 19th, 1692. Elizabeth Howe was 57. She lived on a farm in Topsfield with her husband James Howe. Elizabeth was accused of witchcraft by a girl, but no further action was done until she was accused of it again by the same afflicted girls who accused Sarah of witchcraft. Elizabeth's trial was on June 29th. She was found guilty and executed on July 19th, 1692. Susanna Martin was 71. She was a poor woman who had lost her husband. She lived in Amesbury. Susanna had also been accused of witchcraft previously. Accusations against her included killing a baby and threatening people. The cases were dropped or dismissed. The same afflicted girls who claimed Sarah and Elizabeth were trying to bewitch also claimed Susanna was as well. Her trial was on June 29th. She was found guilty and executed on July 19th, 1692. Rebecca Nurse was 71. Rebecca and her husband Francis lived on a farm near the village. Rebecca was a popular woman who was devoted to her faith. They had children and grandchildren. The Nurses had quarrels with the Putnam family that shared adjoining land. Rebecca made it known that she did not approve of the new Salem village minister, who happened to be a friend of the Putnams. Unfortunately, we can see where this is going. The Putnam family were the main accusers of Rebecca. Rebecca was actually found not guilty at the end of her trial, but the afflicted girls protested, and the jury was asked to reconsider. So Rebecca was then found guilty and executed on July 19th, 1692. Sarah Wilds was 65. Sarah and her husband, Judge John Wilds, lived in Topsfield. Sarah was known for several run-ins with the law. She was accused of having an affair in 1649 with Thomas Wardwell, and was later accused of wearing a silk scarf in 1663. The horror.
Oh no. Lock her up right away.
So side note, number 3, wearing silk fabric was made illegal in the 1600s with the passing of sumptuary laws. Basically, you couldn't wear silk, velvet, satin, or other luxurious fabric if you were above a certain class. So wearing any type of luxurious fabric was believed to be showing greed and making a distinct separation of people.
So breaking a law by wearing a fabric classifies you as a witch.
I'm I'm thinking that's where they were grabbing their information from. Sarah had married the widower John in 1663. The siblings of John's deceased wife were John Gold and Mary Gold Reddington. They hated Sarah and started rumors that she was a witch. Mary would pass away from natural causes, and Mary's friends would take it upon themselves to carry on with the rumors of Sarah being a witch. The Gold family happened to be close friends of the Putnam family. The Putnam family would accuse Sarah of witchcraft. John's daughter from a previous marriage, who we mentioned earlier, Sarah Bishop, and her husband Edward were also arrested, as was his other daughter, Phoebe Wilds. Sarah's, John's wife's trial began on June 29th. She was found guilty and executed on July 19th, 1692. I see a pattern with the Putnam family.
Yeah, I think their name is being mentioned a little too much.
Yeah.
For being coinky-dink.
Mm-hmm. Reverend George Burroughs was in his 40s and a Puritan minister, the only one who was accused and executed during this time. He was a minister in Casco, Maine in the 1670s and then moved to Salisbury, Massachusetts before moving to the village of Salem in 1680. Some townspeople didn't agree with his appointment as the new minister, and there were times he did not get paid. There were times he would borrow money from the Putnam family to help support his own family. When George stopped getting paid for his services, he left and returned to Maine. The Putnams would then sue George for failure to not repay the money he borrowed, and then later accused him of witchcraft. Before his execution, he gave an impactful speech, ending it by reciting the Lord's Prayer perfectly, which was one of the main tells of being a witch, not being able to finish the prayer without messing up. This started the public opinion of doubt on what they were really doing. George's trial was on August 5th. He was found guilty and was executed on August 19th, 1692.
The thing is, with all these, it's like back to back.
Yeah.
So were the trials only like 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because they were all pretty much on the same day. Or if they weren't, they were definitely executed on the same day.
Yeah.
Martha Carrier was 33. Martha and her husband Thomas Carrier lived in Andover. Martha was the niece of Reverend Francis Dane. Francis was known for being against the witch trials. Martha was the first person from her town to be accused of witchcraft. Martha and her neighbor, Benjamin Abbott, had an argument about land, and after that argument, he became sick. Abbott testified against Martha, and Martha's children were also talked into testifying against her. Martha's trial was on August 5th. She was found guilty and executed on August 19th, 1692. John Willard was 30. He was a deputy constable during the time of the witch trials. He was one of the first people noted as speaking out against the trials. He was responsible for arresting the accused, but was doubting the reasonings and ended up quitting his job. After that, Ann Putnam Jr. accused John of witchcraft and beating her sister to death. Bray Wilkins was the grandfather of John's wife. Wilkins and John got into a disagreement, and John gave Wilkins a look. After that, Wilkins became ill, and a few days after that, Wilkins' grandson, Daniel Wilkins, was found beaten to death. After learning that he was being accused of witchcraft, John left the area. He was found and arrested in Nashua, New Hampshire. Several people who already confessed to being a witch would testify against John. Ann Putnam Jr. would also testify against John, claiming she saw many ghosts of people John supposedly killed. John's trial began on August 5th. He was found guilty and executed on August 19th, 1692. George Jacobs Sr. was 72. George wasn't fond of going to church and was known for being against the witch trials. Accusations were brought forward from his servant, Sarah Churchill. Churchill would also accuse George's son, George Jr., and his granddaughter, Margaret Jacobs. Several Putnam family members testified against George. George's trial was on August 5th. He was found guilty and executed on August 19th, 1692. George's family retrieved his body from the burial site and buried him on his property. John Proctor was 61. John was considered a very wealthy farmer who lived in the village. He was known for speaking out against the trials and was noted by many to have threatened to beat or whip the lying girls for their role in the trials.
Wow.
John's wife Elizabeth was arrested in April of 1962 for witchcraft. The girls would then accuse John and the rest of his family as well. John knew that the people of the town were in mass hysteria mode and wrote a letter to the Boston clergy, asking for the trials to be moved there. It wasn't until after John was found guilty and executed on August 19th, 1692, that the clergy would agree.
'Cause that makes sense.
John's other family members were not charged, or if they were found guilty, they were pardoned. John's family secretly took his body from the burial site and buried him on his land. Alice Parker, her age at the time was unknown. Alice was married to a local fisherman named John. They lived in town, and Alice was a trusted religious person. Alice was also known to be a clairvoyant. One instance, she predicted a friend's husband would die at sea, and it was true. Mary Warren, one of the girls known for accusing many other people of witchcraft, accused Alice as well. Warren claimed that Alice made her sister ill, killed her mother, and killed several men and boys at sea. Alice's trial was on September 9th. She was found guilty and was executed on September 22nd, 1692. Mary Parker was 40. She was a widow who lived in Andover. She was accused by William Barker, Jr. of harming Martha Sprague. There aren't records of why exactly Mary was accused, but during her trial, she did explain that there was another Mary Parker in her town and believed they had the wrong person. Sprague testified that the Mary in court was the one who caused her pain. Mary's trial was on September 17th. She was found guilty and executed on September 22nd, 1692. Ann Pudeator was in her 70s. She was a widow that lived in town. She was a nurse and a midwife who was known for not putting up with anyone's shit. Sarah Churchill, one of the girls who accused others of witchcraft, accused Anne as well. Anne had medical supplies taken from her, and they were used in court as objects of witchcraft. The items were like bandages and foot ointment.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Even though she was a nurse. So her equipment that she used was used against her.
The stuff that she used to heal and help people.
Yeah, was used against her.
Oh my God.
Anne would state during her trial on September 9th that the people accusing her of witchcraft were lying. It didn't matter. She was found guilty and executed on September 22nd, 1692. Wilmot Redd's age was unknown at the time. She is the wife of the fisherman Samuel Redd, and they lived in Marblehead. Wilmot had been accused of witchcraft before, and she believed it to be because she argued with the townspeople. She was unpopular due to her abruptness. Her daughter was married to the Reverend Burroughs, who was executed earlier. Wilmot was accused by the girls from the Salem village. She explained she had never met the girls before. That didn't matter. Many townspeople who didn't like her testified against her during her trial in September. She was found guilty and executed on September 22nd, 1692. Margaret Scott was 77. She was a widow who lived in Rowley. Margaret had 7 children, but only 3 had survived their childhood. When her husband died, she didn't know what to do, so she began begging her neighbors for help. Margaret was accused of witchcraft by 2 very prominent families in her town, the Wickhams and the Nelsons. One of the Nelson family members sat on the grand jury. Margaret's trial was on September 17th. She was found guilty and executed on September 22nd, 1692. Samuel Wardwell was 49 at the time and lived in Andover. He was a carpenter, fortune teller, and practitioner of English folk magic. It is believed that his magic is what got him accused and arrested for witchcraft. His wife and daughters were soon after arrested. He admitted to making a pact with the devil and that the devil may have taken advantage of him. He then recanted his whole story during his trial in September. He was found guilty and executed on September 22nd, 1692. Martha Corey was 72 years old. Martha and her husband Giles lived on a farm in the Salem village. They were one of the wealthy families in Salem. Martha was a religious woman. She made it known she did not agree with the witch trials and said several times that the afflicted girls were lying. During her trial, she stated to the judge, "We must not believe all that these distracted children say." Her husband Giles testified against her, stating that it is possible that his wife did witchcraft on him and his animals. Giles would later be accused of witchcraft and would then refuse to give any more information on his family. Martha would be found guilty and executed on September 22nd, 1692. Martha had been executed just 3 days after her husband had been tortured to death because of his refusal to continue.
To me, that's just karma for saying that your wife was a witch.
Yeah. I can't believe that.
Like knowing that she was going to be executed.
Yeah. And knowing that she didn't do anything wrong. I don't understand it at all. Mary Eastie was 28. She is the sister of the accused witches Rebecca Nurse and Sarah Cloyce. Mary was a religious, well-respected resident of Topsfield. Mary was arrested for witchcraft in April and then released in May. She was accused again, and her trial was on September 9th. She was found guilty and executed on September 22nd, 1692. Giles Corey was 71. He was the husband of Martha. He was known for being angry and violent. He had been charged with murdering his farmhand in 1676. He was found guilty, and his punishment was paying a fine. A member of the Putnam family believed that Giles had used bribery to get out of a harsher sentence. As mentioned previously, Giles was accused of witchcraft shortly after his wife was. It is believed that he figured he was going to die one way or another, and he didn't want to die in jail or be executed. The main reason for this was Giles didn't want his estate to be given to the authorities. If you were convicted of witchcraft, then your estate would be handed over to the authorities. Since Giles would not comply, he was tortured for 3 days in a field in town. He died on the third day on September 19th, 1692. This caused yet another doubt in the public's opinion. It was an unlawful death.
I mean, not really, but...
Yeah.
If he murdered someone and...
Right, and then he was totally against his wife.
Yeah, but to the people's opinions, it was probably unlawful because it was torture and all of that.
And a side note, number 4, there were also 2 dogs that were killed because they were suspected of witchcraft.
Like, how the fuck does that...
I can't even explain that. I don't even know what they would have done.
Did they poop or pee on the wrong yard or something?
I mean, maybe they had rabies. I don't know if that, but
I don't.
Or they had some sort of illness. I don't know, but it just
that makes no
blows my
sense.
mind that they also killed dogs.
2 dogs because of witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
The area where the victims were hung was called Proctor's Ledge. It was a small hill at the base of Gallows Hill in Salem. All convicted witches that were executed would be cut down and buried in a nearby crevice in the rocks, or buried in the shallow grave on the execution site. There were only the 3 victims that were recovered by their families and buried on their land at home. Side note number 5. In Salem, the witches were not executed by being burned at the stake. This was practiced in European countries in the 15th through the 18th centuries. Tens of thousands of people were executed for being witches. And that's another thing we could get into is the start of.
Yeah.
That would be a long. That would be a long.
I had no idea that it went back that far, like 1300s or something like that. I had no idea.
October 29th, 1692, Phelps would put an end to the executions, dismantling the court members responsible for the executions. The remaining people were saved, and the people in jail were released. It is not said whether or not Tituba was freed. And if she was freed, did she go back to being a slave?
Yeah.
With Paris?
Oh, that would
suck.
Yeah.
Because obviously they wanted her to die.
Yeah.
Phelps received a letter from an acquaintance, Increase Mather. Which, side note, that's a crazy name.
Yeah.
Increase Mather was a scholar that studied in witchcraft and things like that. Again, how did he not be accused of witchcraft?
Yeah.
He and Phelps would get together and have a meeting. Mather would tell him he had doubts in what they were doing and that there wasn't enough evidence to be killing people. Phelps, I guess, trusted this man and just said, yeah, you're right, basically. I believe Mather and Phelps came over on the same boat or ship.
Okay.
So I'm assuming they knew each other from that. There was also a rumor that Phelps' wife, Mary, was being accused as a witch. Phelps also said that if the devil was actually going after people, it would be more predominant people. So did he really end it because he thought that's what was right, or because it was starting to backfire on himself? Villagers would push Samuel Parris and his family out of the town. But what was left of Salem was broken, never being able to go back to the way it was before. Neighbors still questioning each other, maybe not for witchcraft, but for judgment for supporting the execution. Or they would just plain out ignore each other. Many people blame the two girls who started it all. However, I think the real ones were the men who accused and executed these people. The people who were okay with causing the death and torture of many victims. Dorothy Good, daughter of Sarah Good, allegedly went insane by the time she was freed, at 5 years old.
It's a baby.
Yeah. After her mother was arrested, Dorothy was questioned by authorities. And while questioned, she mentioned having a snake as a pet, given to her by her mom. At the time, they thought a snake would be a witch's pet or familiar, and took this as a confession. She spent 8 months in jail, and allegedly went insane from what she saw and probably experienced in jail. Dorothy's father later said she was chargeable, having little or no reason to govern herself. Meaning, for him, it costs too much to take care of his own daughter. Piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Did anyone feel like they went too far? Yes.
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes. It is said that almost immediately after the trials came to an end, people started to question what they did. They began to feel ashamed. There were still those that believed in the devil and the witches, but didn't believe that there were that many people that practiced it. They were starting to believe they executed innocent people, which they fucking did.
Yeah.
The town began suffering from droughts, ruined crops, smallpox, and attacks. The townspeople believed it was because of what happened during the trials and that God was very angry at what they did. In December of 1696, Governor Stoughton made a proclamation that there be a day of prayer on January 15th, 1697, and would be known as the day of official humiliation. Because that totally makes up.
Yeah.
On October 17th, 1711, a bill was passed clearing some of the names of the convicted witches. In the bill, families were to be paid restitution, totaling up to €600. I have a feeling that that's not even close enough. And how many people is that splitting off to?
Yeah, and it wasn't even, exactly, and it wasn't even everybody, so not all of the families received it. It was only the families that were on the bill.
Yeah. I believe Sarah Good and Dorothy Good's family got that. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the father took it and did whatever he wanted with it.
Yeah, probably.
In 1752, Salem was renamed to Danvers in honor of the settler Danvers Osborne. And it was officially the town of Danvers in 1757. On August 28, 1957, the governor of Massachusetts, Foster Fricolo, signed a bill into law that officially apologized and cleared the names of the remaining victims, not listed in the 1711 law. The 1957 law did not list all the remaining victims' names, though, which is bullshit.
Yeah, so it cleared everyone, but it didn't say the names. So what good?
What good does that do if you don't specify?
Mm-hmm.
On October 31st, 2001, Massachusetts would amend the 1957 apology, clearing the names of the remaining victims, and this time all remaining victims' names were listed. Side note number 6, and the last side note. There are approximately 25 million people in the world that are descendants from the victims of the Salem Witch Trials and the other people involved in it. Which is fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's bizarre to me to think that many people,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that could possibly not even be all of them.
Yeah. That could just be some of them.
Mm-hmm. Fucking shitty. That's what I got for it.
I knew some of it, like, and I remembered some of it from like high school and that kind of thing when we were learning about it. But I didn't know
the
all
details,
of that information. I was getting.
And the fact that they were hanged and not burned at the stake like most people.
Yeah. Or like how they were saying, I was getting really pissed as I was researching all of this because it was like, it's just unbelievable to me that the mob mentality that went through that town so quickly. And it was either, that person could be an amazing person, upstanding person, but you know what? They have land that I want. So I'm going to say that they practice witchcraft so I can somehow get that land.
Yeah. Or they're like, you know what? I don't like that person, so I'm going to just say that they practice witchcraft.
Or the rumors of the girls that were claiming the wife was practicing witchcraft because they wanted to be with the husband.
Yeah.
Just absolutely fucking bizarre shit.
Yes. Basically, any fucking reason.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you could be accused as a witch.
Yep.
I'd be definitely accused as a witch.
Samesies.
Yeah. That would be something to see us in the 16th century.
Yeah, I would not behave.
No. I'd want to almost be in the middle of nowhere and have no one around me.
Yeah. I mean, I like that now.
Yeah. Fucking strip and run through the forest naked.
Oh yeah, you definitely be like, oh, she's practicing witchcraft.
No, but knowing me, I'd like trip and fall and get like a stick stabbed through my tit or something. Honestly, that's...
Oh, for sure.
How the fuck did you get a tit through... How the fuck did you get a stick through your tit?
Well, see, what happened was...
Oh, nope. You're a fucking witch. See you later. Oh, man. But for real, this is a horrible thing that happened. And
agreed.
For no fucking reason.
Honestly, and the baby that was arrested for witchcraft.
Yeah.
A 4-year-old child because they're playing with a snake or because they have a pet snake.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, what about my 3 boys when they were younger? All of their friends, boys, girls, it didn't matter. They all had things in their pockets. Worms, spiders.
All of the above.
Legos, everything, rocks. I mean, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That is so bizarre to me. That and the shooting the 2 dogs.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah. Did they shoot a crow if it said, instead of caw, it said caw?
Oh my god. Fuck.
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't.
That's why I just think of the mob mentality that they were just like, or would they say, someone said hysteria, and how it just grew quickly like fire.
Well, all it took was one person to admit that they did do witchcraft. And the thing is, maybe a possibility that one of those persons did do witchcraft.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But that doesn't give the right to kill someone over it. And not all witchcraft has to do with the devil. So that's another fucking thing that I'm not gonna fucking open.
Yeah. We'll leave that with the Ouija boards in a back corner closet that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah. That's locked away with the 3 deadbolts and a chain and something you can't get into.
Yeah.
Today was definitely an interesting case and different.
Definitely different, but loved it.
Yes. And it was different doing basically one case together because we're normally doing 2 separate cases. Yeah. So it was a good change. Yeah. And I enjoyed it. And
me too.
Hopefully we'll do it next year.
Yeah.
Probably something a little different. But and we might do something for Christmas, maybe. We'll figure that out when it comes time.
Right. Shoot us some ideas.
Yes. With that is all we have for today. Let us know what you think in the comments. Tune in for our next episode, part 2 of our Halloween special. You gotta stay tuned to find out what it is, because I'm not telling you shit. You can find us on Spotify and Instagram at GirlsGoneCuriousPodcast. Until next time.